Hello there, sweet friends. This is Gina. Welcome to the TheRebookery channel. Today I'm going to document an estate sale that I went to last week. This was the estate sale that I did in my last video where I got a bunch of fabric and a beautiful quilt. So I'm going to work in my little journal, and I like the picture that's on the left-hand side. It's the back of a calendar. I think it's a 1970s calendar. But on the right-hand side, there's just some white paper. I want to take the color that's over on the left-hand side and bring it over to the right hand, but I'm not feeling like using paint, so I'm going to go to my wallpaper. And this just happens to be a wallpaper book from the 1980s. I got this from an Etsy shop. I think it's called TheLogChateau. I will link it below. But she does a lot of great vintage resale items, and this was a Christmas gift that I gave myself because I was wanting some wallpaper from the 1980s. So I chose this green because I felt like it complemented the green on the left-hand side. And I'm just going to adhere it with some craft glue. And then what I'm going to do is use a ruler to rip the paper because I'm super lazy and I don't want to get my scissors even though they're right next to me. So once I've got that on there, I want to secure the gutter like I did last week. I used fabric. I'm going to use fabric again. And this is fabric from the estate sale. So I'm going to be using bits and pieces of fabric that I got from this estate sale last weekend. And I'm going to also use some pictures of some quilts that I bought last weekend. So I'm just going to use, again, some craft glue and adhere my strip of fabric there in the gutter and just make sure it can open and close. I actually used the heat gun to speed it up a little bit, but I just edited that out of the video. So in the fabric that I got, she had a lot of quilt squares and a lot of quilt blocks. And I found this little collection that has all these little printed, looks like stencils kind of, and this really looks like 1990s type of stuff. That blue is definitely a 1990s. So I want to use those little squares, and then I also want to use some of the paper that was tucked into the fabric that I got. So this one is a drawing that she had made. Looks like some plans for a quilt that she was going to make, and then these were some magazine clippings that she had tucked in the fabric. So all of that I'm going to try to incorporate in this spread. So the first thing I want to do is I want to trim off the excess paper around her little sketch. And again, being totally lazy, I'm just using an acrylic quilt cutting block there to rip the paper. And then I'm going to try, instead of glue, I'm going to use this other stuff. It's Martha Stewart Crafts. It's decoupage medium, and it is a green tint opalescent. I got it in the clearance aisle at Tuesday morning quite a while ago, and I thought I'd give it a twirl. I like it because it's super runny, so it's not drying out on me. And a lot of times with my craft glue, it seems to dry out on me as I'm using it. So I'm just painting it on and then placing the fabric and the paper on top of it, and then just like I would do with Mod Podge or any other decoupage medium, I'm just kind of going over the top of it to seal it in. So just arranging these little blocks on the right-hand side and then trying to carry them over to the left-hand side because I want to make these two pages actually be cohesive. So whatever I do to the right-hand side, I always try to come over and replicate it in some way, shape, or form on the left-hand side too. So I'm going to use her little magazine clippings. There was a really pretty picture of a heart. It looked like, again, some drawings for a quilt or some stitching. So I'm just going to decoupage that on. And I know as you're watching, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, you're covering up that beautiful wallpaper. You are right. I am covering up the beautiful wallpaper. I know. And that's a lot of issues that I had when I first started doing art. Was I was too afraid to cover up the stuff that was underneath. And it just took me a long time to get over that and to realize it's still there. I can see little bitty pieces of it. There's little glimmers of it. And sometimes when you have little glimmers of it, it actually has more impact. So I'm okay with covering up most of that wallpaper. I know it's there, and I can see little peeks of it through the lettering and stuff. So I used some chalk pastel because I wanted to add some orange, because on the left-hand side, it's a very warm green. So I used that chalk pastel. I just kind of put it on. I think that is some stitching, like some cross-stitch plastic, and just kind of rubbed it on there. It works like a little cheese grater, and little powder falls onto the decoupage medium. And then I just kind of pressed it into the medium and gave it like that grid shape with the orange. The last piece I'm going to add from her magazine clippings, it looked like a baby's quilt on the front side, and that was actually the side that she had written on. But I didn't feel like the colors matched, and I didn't really have any baby things going on. So when I was flipping through it, I saw the back side actually had this red and green, and it really matched, and I liked that a lot. I love the warmth that it's adding to this page. So I go ahead and I add that side, and I ripped off the excess, and again, just using that decoupage medium. And I'll be honest, I haven't used this decoupage medium very much, so I don't know how well it's going to stick. I hope it sticks. I hope everything sticks down, but like I said, it's really runny, and I like using that as opposed to the craft glue, which sometimes gets very, very goopy. The only problem I had with this decoupage was that when I went to try to do my journaling, it was really hard for me to get the ink to stay on top of the decoupage. So, lesson learned. So I'm looking for some backing for those photos, the photos of the quilts that I got. And I pulled out a tub of all of the fabric scraps that I got from her estate sale. And I have actually spent the entire week pressing all of those fabric scraps. I washed them, and then I pressed them. And oh my gosh, that has been an undertaking. And actually, that's not even all of them. I have 2 garbage sacks out in the garage that I think I'm going to donate to Goodwill, of ones that I just did not have the energy to press. And then I have 3 really big tubs of different sized remnants. So some of them are yardage, and then some of them are larger scraps, and then the tub you just saw me pull out, that was all of the smaller scraps. And what my plan is to use those for journal pages, just to use all those little scraps when I make my journals, just to add some little scraps and details to the pages. So now I'm going to do my journaling, and I would love to do some stamping, but again, just feeling super lazy, and I'm just kind of wanting to get this, I really wanted to get some creativity going today. So I'm just going to use a pencil, and then over on the right-hand side, I'm going to put some letter stickers, and to give them a little extra stick, because they don't always work, and I've had them for quite some time. I'm just going to run my paintbrush with that decoupage medium along the paper, and then stick the stickers in it, and hopefully that'll make them stick. My pictures, I forgot to tell you this, but my pictures I took over to my sewing machine, and oh my gosh, my sewing machine and we are going round and round. I actually have to take it to the sewing repair person, because I don't even know what is going on with it. And of course, it's that Singer sewing machine, the one I have so much trouble with. So I don't know, I may take it down to the sewing guy, and it may not come back. He sells repurposed sewing machines and refurbished, and I had a dream the other night that I got a Bernina sewing machine. So I don't know, we'll see what he's got when I go down there. If nothing else, hopefully he can fix it. So now I'm just adding some detail, just playing around with my paint pens and my jelly pens, and just adding little polka dots and things like that. Adding a little bit, this is like some glitter glue, but it is all dried up. So it's not really working too well, but I do like the little pop of turquoise blue that it's offering to the pages. And again, I put some on the left-hand side and put some on the right-hand side. And then there was a hole in the calendar page at the top, so I just took some of that scrap fabric and tied a little heart-shaped sequin and tied a knot. And now I think I'm done, but I saw there was a little remnant of the wallpaper. So I went ahead and pulled that rather than throw it away, and stuck it on the page. And then I got to thinking about those magazine clippings again. So I pulled them out and looked for some words or phrases, and actually found some that I really liked. The one on the left-hand side says, "Start a family heirloom." Then I found another one that says, "Stitch guide." And then I find a third one that says, "Adventures." And so I took those 3 phrases and I put them on, I tried to make like a triangle. Again, I always try to make a triangle because that just seems to be really pleasing, and it's just a good direction for your eye to follow as it goes throughout a page. So I put those 3 phrases on, and I took one last look, and I was like, yeah, this is working. It's messy, it's crazy, it's got a lot of stuff going on, but you know, if somebody were to look at this, they're not just going to glance at it. They're going to look at it for a while. They're going to linger when they look at it. And that's kind of what I go for when I go with my journaling pages. I want my reader to linger and find all the little details. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Hope you're happy, hope you're healthy, and do something creative. Bye.